Y'all, we under siege in Texas. If I had a flag, I'd be flying it upside down because we are in distress. Our lieutenant governor's lost his mind. Just this past week, he said that we're coming for the books. I am Dorothy Burton, and I talk a lot about Texas and what's going on in Texas. And our lieutenant governor, who is in a hot race himself, said this week that he is coming for our books. Let me show you what he mean by that. It's crazy here, and it is getting crazier by the day. This is our lieutenant governor. Let me share this with you.
Going to have this filth and vulgarity and violence of graphic scenes of rape, of stories of teachers and students having a sexual affair, and it's in our school libraries. So we're going to put an end to this. I am disappointed that after we passed Senate Bill 13 last year, that the school districts, so many of them, are ignoring the law. It's the law, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. or Mrs. Librarian. It's the law. And we expect you to follow the law. So we're coming for the books. School districts, be aware. Next session, if these books are not off the shelf, we will pass a law that will knock your grade letter down 1. So if you're an A school, you'll be a B. If you're a B, you'll be a C. If you're a C, you'll be a D. And an F, you can't go much lower than that to begin with. Maybe that's why you have an F school, if this is what's in your library. We are not going to have this.
That's what he's talking about. It's a shame that this governor and this lieutenant governor and this legislature, I don't know what's up with them, but everything is what he's talking about. Coming after the books. We're coming after the books. We're coming after the books. What happened was this, y'all. They passed Senate Bill 13 last year, which gave school boards in Texas the authority to approve school books. At the same time, they were running very conservative school board candidates to take over the school boards of local cities. They were successful in getting the most conservative school board candidates elected on some of these school boards. They were slick, see, because Senate Bill 13 that he refers to gives school board members the authority to approve books that will go into public school libraries. Well, the people of Texas in a number of these towns and cities got sick and tired of these right-wing, crazy conservative people taking over their school boards. So other people stepped up to begin to run for school board. Lo and behold, a lot of these right-wing, very ultra-conservative school board members, and I'm talking about in conservative cities and towns, got defeated. So when they passed that Senate Bill 13, they just knew they had it in the pocket because they had these school boards and these people that these right-wing West Texas billionaires and people that support Dan Patrick and Governor Abbott financially supporting these people to run for these school boards. Well, the people rose up and people started running for these school board seats and they got them. So now what Dan Patrick is talking about, he's saying that they're coming for school books that these school board members are approving. Now, he claims that there are 2,000 titles in public schools that he says are indecent, profane, sexually explicit. So he's coming after the books. He's going to propose legislation if he wins in November, because he is in a very tight race, that he's going to propose legislation next year to lower a school accountability if one of these books that they deem to be indecent, profane, sexually explicit, that whatever they deem it to be, that they're going to lower that school's rating by a whole grade. So if a public school in Texas is an excellent public school with an A rating, when they come in and raid the library, if they find a book that, according to Dan Patrick, is indecent, profane, or they find to be sexually explicit, they are going to lower that school's rating. Doesn't matter that the reading scores are good, the math scores are good, all of the scores are good that would make this school rated to be an A school. If they find a book they find objectionable, Dan Patrick is saying we're going to get legislation passed to knock that school district down to the next lower level. So if it's an A, it'll go to a B. If it's a B, it'll go to a C. Let me let you hear some more of what Dan Patrick has to say, because a lot of this stuff is not getting out. Well, that's why God has me here, because people need to know what we're dealing with in this state, and people need to know what these lawmakers are doing. And this is Dan Patrick again.
So disgusting, so filthy, so dirty, so vulgar, so pornographic that for the ladies here, I wouldn't even open it and show you. I wouldn't show my wife. I didn't show the female senators last session. I had the books to hand out. We passed the bill, but I did it without, if someone wanted to take the book for themselves, and I'm going to give you a copy, everyone here. You can decide not to look at it, or you can. And if you're offended, understand these books are on our library shelves. Many books are on our library shelves in all of our schools. Over 2,000 titles of filthy, dirty, vulgar books. These are books.
Now, what counts as filthy, disgusting, profane, sexually explicit? I don't know. Dan Patrick gets to decide that. It's kind of like that case in the 1960s. I think it was 1964, when a porno film went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart is famous for saying, he didn't say the word, but when it came to pornography and obscenity, and what's obscene, Justice Potter Stewart said, "I don't know." He said, "But I'll know it when I see it." So, y'all, look, that's where we are in Texas with Dan Patrick. What Dan Patrick deemed these 2,000 books being obscene, indecent, profane, sexually explicit, who knows? But what's serious is, and not a laughing matter, is our public schools is just another assault on our public schools. So for a book to be in a library that has been approved by that school board, now the state is going to raid these schools. And if they find a book that is indecent, profane, sexually explicit, whatever they deem that to be, they are going to knock down that school by one whole grade. Until he said if it gets to an F, that would be fine with him, because that means that the state gets to take over the school. And y'all, that's part of this deal, what's behind all of this, because we have a governor and a lieutenant governor and a state legislature that is hell-bent on dismantling our public school system and taking over our public schools. Just this year, Abbott rolled out the $1 billion school voucher program that he had been fighting for years. He went against his own Republican legislators. He ran people in primaries to primary Republican legislators who did not go along with this school voucher. But Abbott got his way. And if Patrick has his way, perfectly good schools in Texas will get lowered from an A to a B, from a B to a C, C to a D, and D to an F, until they keep knocking these schools down based on it could be one book that's found in the library that they deem to be indecent, profane, sexually explicit, and that whole school will suffer. That whole community will suffer. The parents will suffer. More important, the students will suffer. But they don't care, because that's what we're dealing with in Texas. And it's a shame. And I'll see y'all next time.